I'm 16 and pregnant by my 18-year-old friend with benefits. She's been pregnant for 15 weeks, and it's too late for an abortion where I live. My parents don't believe in abortion and tell me that my punishment for getting pregnant is that I'll have to go through with it and give the baby up for adoption. They don't want me to ruin my life and refuse to help raise the baby in any way. I didn't get an abortion earlier as I was scared, and I don't want to give up my baby for adoption, but I feel cornered. My friend with benefits knows and thinks adoption is the best option. Update: I am reluctantly looking at families for adoption. My friend with benefits is heading off to military school. I think of getting married to him since the military would pay for medical care and a residence. I can't decide on a family as none of them seem good enough to me for my baby. Update: I don't know why I'm suddenly getting a ton of responses on my post from a week ago, but I figured I'd post an update because a few things have changed. I had an ultrasound on Friday and found out I'm having a baby boy. He's basically fully formed and just needs to get bigger now. I saw his head and his nose, and they even got a picture of the bottom of his 2 feet together because he was sort of sideways at first, and we had to get him to move. It looks sort of like footprints. I could clearly see his little hands and everything. So I already said it in my previous post, but people are still sending my info about abortion. I know those people are trying to help, and I wish I had maybe reached out here when I first found out I was pregnant, since I didn't know I could get pills mailed to my house. I just can't get an abortion now. It's a fully formed baby. I even named him. It won't solve my problem at this point, because my biggest problem with adoption is how I'm going to live with it mentally for the rest of my life. Now that I know it's a baby moving around in there and stuff, I think I would also not mentally be able to handle an abortion now. If it was still just a lump of cells, I'd feel different, but I was too scared to do anything then. I want to keep my baby. I don't want anyone else to have him. This is my baby. I don't think I can survive handing him over to somebody else. It's not fair. I know I made a mistake and I shouldn't have made love. I shouldn't have sat there doing nothing when I could have got an abortion and saved myself all this suffering and still had my parents love and accept me since they'd never have to know. They called me a slut. I have barely any privacy anymore. What do they think I'm going to do? After the ultrasound, I sent the baby's father the pics. He wasn't there. My parents don't want him or his family involved now. Probably because I told them he offered to marry me, and they yelled at me for even considering that. I told him I can't give the baby away and asked if his parents were really serious about helping and if he'd hate me for keeping it. He said he won't hate me. I still think he'll blame me for ruining his life. He already told me he thinks adoption is the best choice. If we got married and he got caught cheating on me, even if I was okay with it, he could get in a lot of trouble. He said, "Why would I cheat on you?" He said he likes me. He wouldn't make love with me if he didn't like me. He just didn't see the point in us being in a relationship since he was leaving anyway. It was just easier that way. The thing is, I know I'm not the only girl he's been with during that time. I'm not stupid enough to think I'm special to him or he loves me. And we both know it's sort of ridiculous to imagine us being married or acting like adults. But I guess that's what you have to do if you have a baby. I can't really imagine being a wife, but maybe it wouldn't be too bad, and I'd get to move away from my parents. He said it's really weird to think about, but I have very few options, and he doesn't know what else he's supposed to offer, but he's going to talk to his parents since I'm too shy to. I guess I'm assuming they were just saying it to be nice, but are probably happy my parents are making me do the adoption. He says his parents aren't like that. I'm really just an inconvenience to everyone, and if I keep my baby, he might end up not liking me too. I don't want to screw up my baby's life. I would do everything I could to be a good mom. I would grow up and learn how to be a wife and mom and an adult. I can't imagine living after giving my baby to somebody else. Also, if you're looking to adopt a baby, please do not message me here. Many people already have, and I just delete those messages. It's creepy. If I do put my son up for adoption, it will not be to somebody I met through Reddit. I'm sorry, it's just very creepy to be messaged by adults here who want to adopt my baby. There was a comment full of hard truths left on this update. I feel horrible for you. You're in a terrible position. But your current plan does not make sense and is not healthy for the baby. You want to marry the father who really doesn't want to be a father because you'll have access to military housing and benefits. Being a military spouse is incredibly difficult. You will have to go where he goes, which means you will not really have support from his parents, because they will not pack up and follow you every time he is relocated. So no real support from your family or his. It will be difficult for you to build your own career because your jobs will have to be accessible to where he is based out of. He will resent you for pushing for this marriage that you admit is loveless and would be out of convenience. So your plan right now means your baby will grow up with a dad who doesn't want him, a strained and/or distant relationship with grandparents, parents with an unhealthy relationship, and financial hardship. And you will be unable to leave when things inevitably implode in your marriage because you will not be financially independent and you will not have any support from your family. My heart breaks for you because you clearly love the little boy already, but it's a really, really bad idea for everyone involved. At this point, it's one of those things where love means doing what's best for him, and what's best for him is being in a stable environment. Edit to add. Because I keep seeing you say you aren't sure how it works in the military, I wanted to throw out there that I do, and that I'm not saying all this because I'm just guessing. My dad was in the Army. My long-term ex was in the Army. My best friend is married to a Marine. My other best friend is married to a man in the Army. And my cousin is in the Air Force. Being a military spouse is difficult no matter what branch you are talking about, and no matter how promising the benefits sound. Most people in healthy, loving, long-term relationships struggle with the hurdles that come in military relationships. Two very young people who don't love each other with a baby and financial hardship, I don't see that working. I'm getting married and moving in with strangers. I'm 24 weeks pregnant now. I just turned 17. My parents have been trying to force me to give my baby boy up for adoption. I've made several posts about it. I don't want to do it. We've met with the adoption agency and looked at families. I don't think I can survive if I do it. I can't imagine my baby being out there or forever being a nuisance to an adoptive family. They said if I keep the baby, I'll be doing it all on my own. They aren't going to help me in any way. The baby's father's family is willing to help me, though. The baby's father isn't my boyfriend. I know that probably sounds bad. We were never officially in a relationship, just friends, really. But his parents have been a lot nicer throughout this whole thing. I don't know them well, but I'm getting to know them better now. I'm going to have to, since they are willing to help me. They aren't really happy that I'm pregnant, but they believe it should have been my decision about what to do about the pregnancy and eventual baby, and that as parents, it's their job to help and support that decision. He's joining the military. His dad is retired military. Brother is military. It is what he's always wanted to do. He just started basic training. So the plan is that we're going to get married when his family and I go out there for his graduation, unless he changes his mind between now and then, which he might. I know he might. He hasn't said that, but I'm just scared he will. There wasn't time to do it before he left. Anyway, his tech school is over a year long, so the baby and I could move out there with him if need be. Or I can stay with his family here until he goes to his permanent duty station. That would allow me to graduate high school instead of getting a general educational development test, or at least finish the next year of high school normally. I need notarized approval to take the general educational development test at 17, and my parents refuse, but they've agreed to sign paperwork to allow me to get married. I don't understand them. I don't understand how they'd rather allow me to get married and go live with another family instead of just allowing me and my baby to live at home until I finished school and turned 18. It makes no sense. I'm not even a parent yet, and I wouldn't let my 17-year-old get married. If it was between my 17-year-old getting married and moving across the country, or supporting her decision to keep her baby and assisting her with finding resources to enable her to parent, I know which option I'd choose as the parent, and it wouldn't be marriage. It hurts so bad. They've essentially said, if he's going to marry me and his family is going to help us, then I'm not their problem now, so they'll sign off on that. They yelled at me, called me names, and locked me in my room. I could go back to being the daughter they love if I would just go along with their plan. But things will never be the same between us again. His parents were the ones who convinced them to approve of the marriage. They met with my parents. Actually, we all met together. They've been the only ones advocating for me at all. They want me to finish school. They're going to help me arrange childcare, and I'm going to move in with them before the baby is born. I will take my newborn baby home to their house. I don't even know these people. It's strange and uncomfortable for me, but I'm at the point where I can't be picky about what help is offered. Luckily, the baby will be covered by his dad's insurance, no matter what, and I will be covered by insurance once we're married. I'm not planning to depend on military benefits to address all our needs. It's just one piece of the puzzle. After I graduate, I plan to get certified for something that has good career prospects and pays well. I'm going to be smart about what field I select, and I will use any opportunity to find grants or scholarships to help pay. My parents want me to go straight to a traditional 4-year college. I'm in honors classes now. I get really good grades. I scored very high on the preliminary scholastic aptitude test. I should go to college, but I'm not really interested in any of the career fields that make college worth it, financially, in my eyes. Unless I got a huge scholarship, I'd be paying mostly with student loans. So I'm looking into other avenues where I can enter my chosen career field much sooner and start making good money quicker without incurring so much debt. I'm really scared about everything. I've never had to do any adult things. I've blown up my whole life by getting pregnant and not going along with my parents' plan. I don't even feel like I have parents now. I never thought my family would end up this way. I sort of just want to go along with their plan because in many ways it'd be a lot easier. I could go back to my life and still be accepted by my parents and have their love and support again. But my life will never be the same. I think I'd regret taking the easy way out. I don't think adoption would be easy for me at all, but as far as day-to-day life struggles, it'd probably help easier. I think I'd grow up and hate myself for doing it, and I'd never be able to undo it. What I'm doing now is the only option that I don't think I'll spend my whole life regretting. At least it won't make me feel like a coward. I still feel sick to my stomach when I think about everything that's happening, that I'm going to live with virtual strangers, that I'm going to get married, that I will eventually move across the country and be a mom and a wife before I can even legally drink alcohol. Although moving across the country doesn't sound too bad right now. I just don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm probably taking on too much, but it still makes me happier than when I thought I'd have no choice but to sign adoption papers. Update. I'm not giving my baby up for adoption. If I did choose that, I wouldn't choose a person who sent me an unsolicited message on Reddit. If the people who have messaged me about adopting my baby are real, you're giving hopeful adoptive parents a bad, very bad name. Look, I understand why some people think I should place my baby for adoption, but you're wasting your time trying to convince me to do that now. I have decided I'm keeping my baby. I know it's going to be very hard. I have to give up a lot. I have to take on a lot that I wasn't prepared to take on at this time in my life. I'm very scared. I know this is something I have to completely dedicate myself to, and I've committed to my decision and am moving forward even if I'm scared to death. What would be supportive at this time is information from military spouses that might help to prepare me, educate me on resources, connect me to where I can find info. I think I'm going to try to find a community on here to post to if there's a relevant community. If you know of any non-military resources I might want to look into, I'd love to know about those. If you have a career suggestion that I might want to look into, I'm totally open to hearing about it. I don't plan to go to a 4-year college right away. Maybe later, if it aligns with my life in the future. After I graduate high school or get my general educational development test, I'm leaving my options open. But either way, I will complete high school and be able to pursue further education of some sort. I want to get training and certifications for a good job field that I can get into rather quickly and that pays well. This isn't wishful thinking. I know these jobs exist. There are some jobs, such as teaching, that require a college degree and don't pay well at all. There are some trades that pay very well. I don't think I'm being unreasonable by forgoing a 4-year degree right now. I don't have 4 years to wait to get into a career. If you have parenting advice, especially anything related to a newborn, then I'd appreciate it. Also, a more trivial question, do I get a white dress to get married in? I'm getting married at the courthouse and will be obviously pregnant. My parents would say no white, but my parents aren't involved and don't get a say. I feel kind of silly wearing a white dress. I'm not talking about a formal wedding gown, obviously not that type of event. I don't think being married, being a parent, or being a military spouse will be easy or like a Hallmark movie, but I think this is the best option I have and it will remove some of the biggest, immediate stressors from my shoulders. We're getting married. It's not something we're considering. We've both agreed to it. He is the one that suggested it in the first place. This is our plan. I know he could change his mind over the next several weeks, and that's just me being realistic. We'll cross that bridge if we come to it. We'll be able to communicate with him before graduation, so he better tell me then if he's changed his mind. I will be going to his graduation with his parents, and we will be getting married that weekend. I will then return home with his parents. I'll be living with them and am preparing for that right now. I will eventually move to where he will be stationed so that we can both raise our son. His parents shouldn't be my co-parents, and there's no other way for him to be there if I don't go to where he's at. He said this is his kid and his responsibility. I know he's not happy to have a baby now, or with me. But he's willing to take responsibility for it, and he says he wants to be a good dad. At home in my house currently, not much has changed. Things are extremely tense between my parents and I. They remind me regularly how stupid my plan is and how I'm going to do this all alone without their support. I spend most of my time in my room. I also still have my part-time job, and I'm thankful when I'm not home. I have plenty of research and planning to do to keep me busy, though. Also, it wasn't statutory molestation. He was 17 when I got pregnant. I mean, he turned 18 within days of when it happened, but he was still 17. He did nothing wrong. He did not coerce me. He didn't lead me on or lie to me. We both screwed up. I'm also not doing this to have a baby to play with. I'm not a parent, so I can't know how hard it really is yet, but I know it's going to be the hardest thing I've ever done and could break me. I don't think having a baby is like having a fun toy, but I love my baby, my little boy. I'm keeping him. I'm his mom. I'm going to do whatever I have to do for him. Do you think I want to move in with strangers? Do you think I want to get married in this situation? Leave school? Possibly struggle every step of the way from here on out? I know, adoption would be the solution that would allow me to not have to do those things, but this is my choice, and I don't want to be separated from my baby. Another update, I'm just feeling really sad and lonely. I guess that's why I'm really posting an update here. School started on Tuesday. My normal group of friends at school are basically ignoring me. At lunch, I sit at the table with them, but I'm sort of all by myself at the end of the table, and nobody talks to me. They ignore me in the halls. Rather, they just say something to me, tell me they never want to talk to me again or something. Just come out with it, you know? I wanted to continue school. I don't know if I'll end up dropping out and getting my general educational development test. I will definitely get my general educational development test if I don't finish regular high school. My parents won't give me the required approval, but once I'm married, that requirement should be waived. I feel like getting my general educational development test as soon as I can might be the smartest move. That way I could start a full-time job and figure out what sort of certification or further education I want to get. Another part of me wants to finish regular high school just to prove I can. I'm not interested in having the traditional high school experience at this point. That went out the window a while ago. It'll be so hard to manage school with a baby, though, and I don't know how much longer I can take being the pregnant outcast. It's like everyone just stares at me. Nobody says anything mean to my face. They just don't talk to me at all anymore. I've also moved into my baby's father's parents' house. That's complicated. He's not really my boyfriend. I guess he's my fiancé, but that feels weird to say. My future in-laws? I don't know. It all sounds surreal. They're so nice. There's nothing wrong with them. But I've cried myself to sleep every night. I've only been here 5 nights. I'm so sad. Even though my parents were upset with my decision and things were tense without much communication in the last few weeks, I still miss my home and my room. I guess it's not really my home anymore, and it never will be again, and that also makes me cry. They set up a bedroom for me here. They painted the walls my favorite color, they got new furniture for me and everything. They didn't have to do any of that. I don't really know how to react. I feel like I owe them something. It makes me feel uncomfortable in a way. I still can't believe my parents just let me go. I thought maybe they'd change their mind. They don't agree with any of my decisions, and they've made that very clear. Update. I'm married now. I'm about to be 32 weeks pregnant now. I can't believe I'm due in 8 weeks. That's just 2 months. I could actually have a baby by Halloween, and that's crazy to me. Seeing all of the Halloween stuff out everywhere scares me, but not for the reasons it's supposed to. It scares me because it reminds me of how close I am to giving birth. I'm married now. No matter how many times I say it, it doesn't feel real. It seems like a joke or a bad dream. I don't really like thinking of myself as married. It's weird. I'm a kid, really. It makes me feel sort of sick when I say it. We got married this week after he graduated from basic training. His parents and I traveled together, and his older brother, who is also in the military, met us there, and it was the first time I ever met him. So after his graduation, he had a day pass, and we went to the courthouse and got married. I got very nervous beforehand and started crying and saying I couldn't do it. In the end, I did it. I think his family might have been a little upset with me. And then I asked that they not be there when we actually got married, since my family wasn't there. And having his family there, but my family not there, would just be too sad for me. Maybe that was wrong of me. I don't know. I just felt so weird about the whole thing. I felt nauseous the whole time. So uncomfortable. He was sort of annoyed with me because I'm the one who wants to keep the baby so bad, so I'm the reason behind all of this, supposedly. Didn't know that meant I couldn't have a moment of panic right before it happened. It's not something I want to publicly advertise right now. It just feels so weird. Some people know about it and keep asking me for all these details, and it's like I don't want to talk about it. It wasn't some sort of cute, special romantic thing. His mom was being annoying too. Not on purpose. I know she was trying to do some nice, sweet, special things for us given the circumstances, but I didn't want any of that. It just made me feel so uncomfortable. Ordering a special wedding cake dessert for us, giving me jewelry from her family. I wanted to scream. But I don't know how to communicate that I don't want any of that, and it makes me feel uncomfortable without hurting feelings. So he told her to me. That made me feel bad. I went to this meeting they have for new military spouses. I felt like I was about to have an anxiety attack and pass out. I didn't want to go. It was like, for spouses? Oh, I'm not a spouse. It's not for me. Then I realize I am one. We're back home now. I mean, me and his parents. He'll be heading to his tech school, which is far away from here. It's a long tech school. No guarantee he'll even be able to come home when our baby is born. He definitely will miss the birth, either way. I get that that's just how the military works, but it's so foreign to me and something I still have to get used to. I guess I don't have much more to update right now. Another update to my post about my parents trying to make me give my baby up for adoption. The baby is almost here. It's been like a month since I last updated, and now I'm also about a month away from my due date. I'm still living with my in-laws. It feels really weird saying in-laws. My life feels unreal to me a lot of the time, to the point where sometimes I really have to focus hard on figuring out if this is reality or a dream sometimes. I can't imagine giving birth. I mean, I think about it all the time, and I'm terrified of it, but part of me thinks, no, that's not really going to happen to me. I frequently have dreams about going into labor, but the dream never gets to the need. I never actually see the baby be born in the dreams. I hope that's not a bad sign of something that's going to happen. No matter how many times I dream of it, the dream never gets to that part. I also started the process to change my last name. It's really strange to think of having a new name now, especially given the whole circumstances and why we actually got married. Like normally, I'm assuming spouses want to have the same name, and it's some sort of happy, exciting thing to change your name to your husband's name. I'm really only doing it because I want to have the same last name as my son, and I don't want to have the same last name as my parents anymore. Speaking of my parents, I haven't really talked to them. It's not like they've reached out to me. My mom called my in-laws. She was drunk and accused them of stealing me away from her. Then she called me a slut. That's funny, since my parents both signed the form giving me permission to get married. They wouldn't sign a form permitting me to get my general educational development test, and they wouldn't allow me to simply live under their roof with my baby for just a little while. It didn't have to be this way. They wouldn't do anything to help me. I was never asking for them to raise my child for me. I haven't heard from my dad at all. Not once. I keep thinking about contacting them, but to say what? Somehow I feel guilty for not reaching out to them. I feel like I need to maintain that relationship for some reason, and if the relationship becomes non-existent, it'll be my fault. Right now, I just have no family. I know technically I do, on paper, and my in-laws are nice, and they're doing their best, but I don't know them. Plus, they're part of the reason I felt like I had to get married, to make them feel more comfortable helping me. I was overwhelmed with all of the comments after my last post. Everyone thought I was being really ungrateful for everything my in-laws are doing. I didn't want them there when we got married. I can't even call it a wedding, really. I'm not the one that told them I didn't want them there. I felt awkward having anyone there, because the whole thing was so weird, having people watch me get married when it was this totally weird situation, and all because I slept with their son and got pregnant. It was just so embarrassing for me. But I never would have actually said to their faces that I didn't want them there. They couldn't be there. I'm too nice to say that. I'm smart enough to know that's hurt their feelings. I made the mistake of sharing my feelings with my now husband, and he told his family. He didn't mean harm by it, but I didn't really intend for him to tell his family. I've apologized to them for what happened. They say they understand, and maybe one day we'll want to have a real ceremony. I don't know about that, but I wasn't going to argue. Some people seem to think I'm just acting like a brat 24/7 around his family, and I'm definitely not doing that. I'm very polite. I still feel like a guest in their home, and let's face it, I am a guest here. I still don't feel at home, but it's not their fault. They're trying. It's not that I'm not trying or intentionally acting ungrateful. I just can't relax or feel comfortable and treat this like my home. I am in polite guest mode at all times and don't really know how to act differently. I don't hide in my room all day. As awkward and uncomfortable as it is for me, I do spend time with them and talk with them. His mom is like above and beyond, and I worry about what might happen when the baby gets here. Maybe I'm just not used to such a maternal, caring person, but it's a bit overwhelming for me. She makes me breakfast every day and packs me lunches, and likes restaurant-quality lunches, not normal school lunches. I don't necessarily want her making me breakfast every day, but I can't possibly figure out how to tell her that without hurting her feelings. She's sort of a smother in a way, but with good intentions. I can easily see her just wanting to help with the baby and showing me things and telling me the right way to do everything, and then me not knowing how to essentially tell her to back off and let me be the parent. I know I'm going to need her help. I just don't want her to do everything. I think she's the type that would do everything if I let it happen. My husband is at his tech school now and will be there for over a year. And that's if he doesn't get washed back for not performing up to standards or whatever they call it. He's allowed to have his cell phone on him in class in case anything happens, aka I go into labor. He's not allowed to leave to come home when the baby is born. They'll authorize him to come home on a weekend. He has to have permission to leave the area, so he'll literally have a weekend to fly here, meet the baby, and go back. If some sort of bad emergency happens, that will be different. He's also got permission to fly home for Thanksgiving, by which time the baby will probably be a few weeks old. That'll only be about 3.5 days total, then a slightly longer stay for Christmas. His parents are already talking about all of us going out to visit him once the baby is old enough to travel. But how old should a baby be before it's really safe to travel by plane? It's basically across the country, so it'll have to be by plane. At school, the teachers have actually been really nice. My teachers have always liked me, but now I think they feel sorry for me and pity me, and I don't like that feeling. Contrary to some of the comments on my previous post, I have not dropped out of school. I'm finishing this semester at my regular school. I go to class like normal and also meet with a tutor to work ahead on some classes and assignments. The baby will be born before the semester is over though, so a few weeks after the baby is born, a tutor will actually be working with me to finish out my classes and I'll take my exams. This is assuming the birth is normal with no complications. I've completely changed my baby name choice. Good thing I didn't paint the name I had chosen on the wall or got anything with that name on it. I hope I don't completely change my mind on his name once he's actually here and it's on his birth certificate. Just an update to say thank you. I guess my posts were reposted in another sub again, so I'm getting a ton of messages. I just wanted to post this to say, I'll try to respond to everyone, but I have over 50 messages left that I haven't been able to respond to yet. And I have a lot of homework to get done before the baby is born, so I don't know when I'll be able to respond. I'm still very pregnant. I'm very close to my due date now. This could be the last time I post before my baby is born, and after that, who knows when I'll have time to post another update. I honestly hope that nothing happens between now and then that would be worth posting about. I'm really tired all of the time. I have to come home from school and take a long nap every day, and I was never somebody who took naps before. I have a ton of homework and assignments because I'm working ahead on things. I have different plans with each of my teachers, and most of them involve me doing work or slightly different assignments and projects ahead of time. Like 3 weeks after the baby is born is when I have to resume doing schoolwork. A lot of it will be self-paced, and I can connect with my teachers and tutors via Zoom. Then, the school is sending a tutor a few days a week. That'll just be for the rest of the semester. I feel so tired now, and the baby isn't even here. I really don't know how I'm going to do schoolwork and write papers and things soon after having the baby. I don't know how I'll mentally manage that, but I'm going to find a way. My teachers keep telling me all that matters is that I pass. It doesn't have to be an A. I get really stressed if I get a bad grade though, but maybe I won't even care at that point, and I will truly just be happy to pass. I don't know. Everything is ready for my baby though. His little bassinet and all of his clothes and supplies are here in my room, and sometimes I just stare at it and my brain can't always compute it's for my baby. My in-laws still feel so weird saying that, have helped quite a bit and will continue to help, and I'm thankful even if I struggle with accepting it and feeling comfortable with it. I feel like a burden. A charity case. Well, I am a charity case in a way. But because he's living in the dorms at training right now, my husband is sending money to help with things. That makes me feel a little better. I mean, I know that it's not money I've earned, but he is the father, so it makes me feel better that his parents aren't paying for everything. He's also forgoing buying a car out there. Luckily, it's a place where you can get by without a car, and there's always Uber and stuff. He has a car here at home, and I'm driving it right now. That also feels weird. His mom said to me, "You're his wife. You're allowed to drive his car." I mean, he said it was okay. It just feels weird to hear that. I have a car seat, and I will be buckling my son up correctly. I've also practiced taking it out and putting it back in several times, and I've practiced the stroller many times too. He and I do talk. We video chat, usually a few times a week too. Before all of this happened, back when I first got pregnant, we didn't just make love. We talked a lot. We worked together, and there was a lot of downtime, so we did use to actually have conversations with each other. I think in that sense, we do get along. We like talking to each other. I mean, I know a real marriage should be based on way more than that, and I'm not trying to say it's more than it is. Anyway, I sort of got sidetracked with my post. What I really wanted to say was that I'm overwhelmed with all of the kind messages I've received today. I read several not-so-kind comments. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but some of it is still hurtful, like when people say that I will fail as if it's a fact, as if they can predict the future. Also, people who say I'm a bed tour ungrateful are really misinterpreting what I'm saying. This is just a way for me to express my feelings. It doesn't mean that I'm saying most of the things I say here to anyone in real life. I'm actually very polite. I thank people, like my teachers, or Mill, all the time. I do appreciate it. I think the worst one was somebody who said I was going to be a boy mom from hell and have an incestuous relationship with my son. What the hell? I just can't believe some of the things complete strangers have offered to do for me. Paying for things, sending me baby items, even inviting me to stay at their home if I ever need a safe space, offering to be a mom buddy to me if I end up moving to their area, connecting me with possible jobs, and even offering to be references for me for school programs. Basically just so many things I can't believe anyone is reaching out to offer me. It's so incredibly generous and kind, and I don't feel at all deserving. It really blows me away that strangers would do that for me. Just taking the time to send me a supportive message is sort of something I can't believe so many people took time out of their day to do. It really means a lot to me and touched me so much.